Okay, the cold starting procedure for an R100. It's cold, it's been standing for a bit. They're really simple to start, subject to how well they're maintained. This one's been pretty well maintained over the years. Ignition on. Down for the fuel is on, and all the way up is on reserve. Now I've just put some fuel in, so I know that's fine. I can see fuel in the filter. There is a pipe here. You only really need to turn one on. The fuel filter goes through the airbox housing to the side. Just as a habit, I put both on anyway. I always have a quick look around the bike, make sure everything's fine. In this case, it is. That's choke full on. It's got like a notch. That's the second position, and that's off. As a habit, when I turn off the bike, I always turn it off here. Here we can see that the oil is on and the generator's on. That, as a rule, stays on until the engine is up and running, and the generator on occasions will stay on until you're riding and you go over 3,000–4,000 RPM. So as you can see, started first time. It's not struggling at all. It's ticking over nicely. When you're using this is on a centre stand at the moment. Never lift the bike off centre stand using this. It's only held on by two little nuts. Actually, not even, the little circlips in there, and you'll just rip it off. This handle is mounted to the chassis, so I tend to just rock it forward. Make sure the stand's up. You see then the generator light just popped on. Lights on. And off we go. Now you can let these run and just idle for a little bit, just to warm up. I know that I rode this just over an hour ago, so the engine has sufficient amount of lubrication. From within the hour. And as you can see, it's nice and smooth. The gears on this can at times feel a little bit clunky. The same with all these old bikes, but as you can see there, pulls nicely all through the gears, nice and smooth. One thing to bear in mind on these older bikes, especially the shaft driven, is that it rides very differently to a chain driven bike. It's very easy to lock up the back if you're not too au fait with the riding style of these. So I'm going to go for a short 15-minute ride on this. Do like those e-trons. I'm not sure I'd spend the 100k plus mark on one though, especially the GT one, which that one is, 72 plate. Okay. As I've said in previous videos on these, they're a fantastic bike, the R100s. Not the most fuel efficient bike, even when running when the carbs are synced, but they do pull like a tank, as you can just see there. It's so smooth. The engine braking on these is really good. You do need to bear in mind these tyres are cold. Yeah. Let's go this way. So these bikes were designed to sit around about the 70-80 miles an hour mark for long periods of time. So what the Germans, when they were building these, wanted, they wanted a bike that you could just cruise on comfortably for hours. And this is really it. There is bags and bags of room. And it just pulls. It's really just happy. Right. Just so happy sitting at that speed. One thing to bear in mind on these older bikes, and although it's sounding obvious, is to remember that the brakes were designed using the latest technology at that period of time. You know, they're not going to stop you on a 50 pence piece. They're really not. But my attitude with that kind of riding is that you shouldn't be riding that style anyway, where you're going to need to stop that close, unless obviously in an emergency. For me, it's about, you know, giving a good amount of distance. You know, we're not on a racetrack, we're on public highways. And it's nice at times just to, you know, nice just to cruise. This is definitely one of those bikes, sadly, that I will miss. I can just tell. But you can't just keep all the bikes that you've had. You know, there does become a point where you have to just rein it in a little bit. So here we're at 3000 RPM, cruising at about 55. I've got another gear left. It would happily, nice beamer coming up. It will happily just sit here and cruise at this. It's not even trying now. It's dropped down to just over 2.5. As I said, not felt any discomfort in riding this over, well, since I've had it. One thing that a lot of people don't realise with these is the pegs are off-centred. It does throw some people, but again, it's like one of those things, after a while you just learn to, well, you don't even notice it now. So smooth. I've ridden this bike in all weather conditions bar snow, and again, as I've said, they just do what they're designed to do. You know, they just work. What's going on here? So she's nice and warm now, and look, idling at 1000 RPM in neutral. There's no rock either side. Oh. There's no rock either side, which sometimes can occur with the twins. You know, it's nice and smooth. As I said, it's been well looked after, this bike. The guy that had it before me actually had several airheads. like me, it was just the time really to reduce the collection. So I'm going to end the video here, just saying that if you're on the fence about buying an airhead, then go and try one, go and ride one, and see what all the fuss is about. You know, are they worth the money? I mean, these are what I would consider relatively affordable classic motoring. You can pick up some good deals. I'd probably avoid one that's been tinkered with too much. You know, there seems to be a lot of cafe racer style bastardized ones, which are not my bag. But if you can find one like this that's had, you know, very little alteration done, rides and pulls as well as it does, you know, and you are going to use it for what it is intended, then they are, you know, fantastic bikes. So that's it from me. Have a good day. Please remember to subscribe, like and follow.